Unhinged. Loud.
Welcome back to Unhinged and Loud. Today we are going to be talking about the shared voice principle, where healing spaces grow stronger when lived experience and clinical expertise both coexist, not compete. The scarcity authority trap, when leaders protect status instead of empowering community voices. The advocacy versus ownership divide. Are we building communities to serve people or to control narratives? So welcome back to Unhinged and Loud, where we say the things people whisper about in support groups.
Thank you. They sure do. We're supposed to be supporting one another, not hiding, gatekeeping stuff, or not answering back people when they have questions. We're here to educate.
Yeah, like I thought communities were for the community, not for one person. And,
I learned a lot. I got booted from a group because I was answering questions, because I put what I was diagnosed with, how long I've had it for, and this and that. And people were, replying under me and, how'd you handle it? What doctors did you go to? And I told them, I've gone to University of Miami, I've gone to Shands, I've gone to Cleveland. I've been dealing with this since I was 6 years old. And which is almost my whole entire life. You know what I'm saying? And to have a group do that to me, it was like, wow. It was really disappointing. You know what I'm saying? So just welcome to Unhinged and Loud. We're going to discuss our stuff.
Right.
Today, we're talking about something uncomfortable.
What happens when helping gets mistaken for competition? And there's something that happens in a lot of these chronic illness communities. Like someone shares their lived experience, they answer the questions, they're encouraging others, and then suddenly it's perceived as threatening. And that's what irritated me, because questions are meant to be answered. And when you have these big communities and you're trying to help out and share your experience, you feel like you could be helping someone else that was stuck in the place that we were once, know?
And it's true. Not because it was negative, not because it was harmful, but because it disrupted a anarchy.
Right. And that's what I don't get. And, that's where we have to ask, are we building healing spaces or are we building authority platforms? Because what we just experienced, it's like we intimidated the monetization group that was created, and we were kicked out, not for anything. And she literally told me word for word, I didn't do anything wrong. I wasn't negative. I was just basically answering too many questions. So basically I stepped in to help out, and I get kicked out for helping other people. Which I thought that's what a community is to help, not gatekeep.
Exactly. That's what I thought. And then she, this particular group can't, there's a lot of members in there, and it's hard to really respond to everybody. So, somebody who's going through it, experienced, somewhat the same symptoms, I think it would be helpful. You know what I'm saying? Like navigate it, explain it,
Right. And what threw me off guard is she was the first person who reached out to us and was applauding our advocacy in autoimmune disease, because I never knew about it until you and I linked up and I started putting two and two together. So I never really would have even known about this. So she contacted us about, wanting to be on our podcast.
Yes.
And was applauding us and even made a post. And I said, and also might I add, and her word for word was, yes, the more information, the better. The more outspoken the information, the better, is what she had said. And the fact that she came back and said, I had to remove you from the group because you were answering too many questions. But yet she stopped being my friend on my personal page. She was still following Unhinged and Loud, but she was looking at every single thing that we post. And that's what threw me off guard. I'm thinking, does she want to take our information and make it as her own?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. You know what I'm saying? Because since I've had this since I was a kid, I mean, there's probably information that I have that probably she doesn't have. You know what I'm saying? Just
right. There is one person informing somebody of their experience could save someone else's life. Her experience is not even a lived experience per se. You know, she works through it, but she doesn't have lived experience, and she's gatekeeping information from people that we could save their lives. And that's when I decided our room was meant to build our own table in our own community. It wasn't meant to be built in other communities.
Exactly. And I agree. You know what I'm saying? Sharing. Like, sharing is caring, to be honest with you. Like, what's the...
And you know, autoimmune disease is such, and what I learned is through the American Autoimmune Association, is that there are over 100 autoimmune conditions. 50 million Americans alone suffer from it. More than 25% have more than one autoimmune disease, and 80% of those people are women. So do you think more people that talk about it and more people that learn from it will also relate to it, or just one person that is in the field of doing this? I mean, I thought that's what people were supposed to do, was help out and answer questions to help them not be stuck like I was. Like, I had to, you know, really dig into information and advocate for myself.
Yep.
And this is why we built the platform, was for other people.
Exactly. Because I kept my condition very quiet. Like, you took me out of my quietness again, because I just kept it to myself.
I don't get that, because there's a difference between being the expert and being threatened.
Exactly. And, you know, for myself, having it for so long, I kept it quiet. Not because I was ashamed of it. It was because being misjudged, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've had it for so long. And I've even lost jobs because of it. You know, always being sick, got to go to the hospital, being in intensive care. So, you know, finding a support group that, you know, you would think, but no. And that's why we came up with Unhinged and Loud.
Right. And this is what we call the scarcity authority trap. It's like they want you to help out, but when you become too much in their group and taking over their monetization tools or their group, you know, it's a ding at them, like, okay, you're imposing on my platform that I created.
Yeah.
And that's why there is a big difference between an expert and lived experience.
Exactly.
You're gatekeeping information that someone else could have that could relate to it.
Exactly. So when someone's answering questions, feel like competition, that's scarcity.
Right. And, you know, I feel like true leaders, you know, don't shrink other voices. They're supposed to amplify them.
Thank you. Yep, exactly. And that's true. That is 100% true. And if your authority is solid, it doesn't get shrunken by someone sharing personal experience.
Right. You shouldn't be shaken by anybody's experience, especially when you have an autoimmune community to help other people. Like, advocacy says the more informed the patient, the better.
Exactly. Boom. You know it. And that's exactly. Ownership says control the information.
But here's the truth. Chronic illness communities are not kingdoms.
No, they're not. They are lifeline.
And if someone is helping out, I feel respectfully encouraging medical guidance. I didn't say, you know, go disregard your doctor's instructions, you know, do this naturally. You know, I wasn't sharing, you know, giving them any advice as far as that. I was just sharing, you know, my experience. You know, that should really strengthen a community, not ever threaten it.
Exactly. 100%. That was just crazy.
You cannot silence lived experience.
No, you can't. No, you can't. And you cannot gatekeep healing.
No, because if helping feels threatening, then that's not about the helper.
No, it's not. It's about insecurity.
Right. In Unhinged Aloud, we believe in multiple voices, clinical expertise, and lived experience.
Because healing doesn't belong to one person.
Right. And especially when you're not even healing the experience or lived any experience with it. So if you've ever been silenced for helping, trust me, we see you.
There is room for you.
And if you're building a community, please build it with abundance and from abundance. Don't build it because you think you're going to get money from it. Don't build it thinking you're going to have all these followers, because like I heard in one of my community members from TikTok, he was talking about serving your purpose. And if you only, reach one person, if you reach two people, then that's somebody's life that you could be saving, which is way more than what any money could ever bring to you. And I feel like if we reach out and we save just that one person that is struggling silently and in depression because they don't know what's going on because their doctors are telling them this or telling them that and they don't know which way to go, I feel like that is what we're here to do.
Exactly. We're going by our own experience, our own symptoms. What I'm saying? We're not saying fault. We're not saying that we're doctors. We're living through our own experience. What may work for you may not work for them.
And autoimmune conditions, like they were talking about, I was exposed to hepatitis B from when I worked at the hospital. So I have antibodies from that. And once your body's exposed to a virus, whether it's activated or not activated, it lives a part of your DNA. So if you go to the hospital or if you go and get an autoimmune diagnosis, you will more than likely be put on an immunosuppressant for the rest of your life. And if you have a unactivated virus living in your DNA, then it can automatically reactivate this virus and be part of your life all over again. So this is why we talk about, taking other routes, like getting an immune panel, getting your stool tested, getting a food allergy test, because you could be eating something and as you get older your body changes, so you could be eating something that you're allergic to and not even know it. This is why we tell you to get a virus test, because before you get on an immunosuppressant, which is all related to the same thing, your immune system becomes suppressed. So therefore, if you get sick, you're doomed. This is why we talk about getting a mold toxicity test, because you could have been exposed to molds that you don't even know about. So we're just trying to save you from going out and, getting the thing that your doctor is telling you to get to find alternative options, because ultimately autoimmune disease is not supposed to live in an environment for disease. And if your autoimmune system is if your autoimmune system is going okay and you have autoimmune disease, then it's not functioning properly. Like, this is why we tell you to take alternative routes before you make the ultimate decision to be put on a medicine for the rest of your life.
Yes, exactly.
Because immune diseases is nothing but attacking your own tissue. And if you find that thing that is triggering your immune system, you could easily eliminate that and not have to worry about this every day for the rest of your life. You just eliminate what's triggering your inflammation, your chronic inflammation, was triggering your immune system to set the cells off for your nervous system, because that's what it does. Your immune is housed in your gut, so it's going to set off nervous system cells. So this is why we talk about taking different routes before ultimately putting your life online and get an immune suppressant for the rest of your life. But you should never stop somebody's voice from being silenced, especially when it comes to something that is not ever really talked about.
Exactly. I agree. I was like, what? I can't, what? Okay. I was like, I didn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, we all have our own experience, and not every experience is going to help that one person, but every voice has a story, because you are valuable to somebody, because just like they say, there's no one-sided coin.
Exactly.
So if you have a story to share, you are realistically valuable to somebody.
Yeah, exactly. Because again, like I stated earlier, your symptoms and my symptom might be the same. I might be in a medication that you never heard of, and you can sit there and try it.
Just like when you were talking about, doing the hospital thing. What was it called? You were talking about
Bone marrow and stuff like that. I had bone marrow.
No. About going in and basically telling them that they need to fix my hospital notes because it was messed up.
Yes. That's it's also important, because doctors really don't read. When they go in, they tell you can go home, whatever it may be. They just skim it. They don't tell you the whole details. So when you go back and read, it's like, wait a minute, they didn't tell me this.
Yeah, for them to say that I went to the hospital and I don't ever go to the hospital. So when I go to the hospital, it's like life or death emergency. So when I went to the hospital, I told her, that I didn't want any medicine. I just really wanted to find out what was wrong with me. And at that time, I had to wait 6-7 more months before I went to the rheumatologist, because my appointment, wasn't even supposed to be until June. But luckily they got an appointment February. But my right side of my stomach was so hard, and they did imaging, which came to find out my liver was 4 millimeters enlarged. I had fatty liver. But, I ended up leaving because I wasn't about to wait another hour to wait for test results when I could see it on my app. And so it was already at 5:00 in the morning at that point. So I was just like, I'm going to go home. And then the doctor ends up writing on there that she finds drug-seeking behavior. First off, I declined medicine. I didn't request medicine. I told you I was just here because I needed some tests done. So I had to go, and I contacted the hospital medical records, and I told them they had a what's the word called?
Correct the notation.
Yeah, they had to go and then correct what she wrote down, because that was false information. So she corrected it and she signed her name. But people don't realize how that affects you. That affects your life insurance, your health insurance, everything involved with that. And nobody talks about this. This is why you cannot silence people who are trying to help.
Exactly. And that's how I felt what happened to us. We were just answering questions.
Yeah, and the fact that she even admitted that we did nothing wrong, we said nothing negative, but yet asked me to not start drama. First off, I never started drama. I was just trying to help. That's what I'm not understanding. So you don't want people helping out in your community because it's making your authoritative figure de-escalate, or what is it? Like, that's what I really wanted to know.
Exactly. I'm like, whose ego are we stepping on like right now? Because this is just nuts.
And that's when you take and piece that puzzle together, that our platform is not meant to be in groups like that. We had to spread our wings and create our own group where voices and sisterhood can be united and not silenced.
Exactly. Yep, and we're doing it.
And I feel like that's what it was important. So she taught us a lesson to not get involved with groups that are worried about monetization and stepping on her toes from a health expert versus a real person going through it, and we are sharing our journey along the way.
Yep. Exactly.
But this is Unhinged and Loud.
Unhinged and Loud.
And this is the framework that we will be teaching you.